Hello. Hello and welcome to High School Rugby. It's live here from Queen's University Sports Complex in Charlotte, North Carolina. You're watching Doylestown taking on Charlotte Cardinals here in this big High School Rugby Marquee matchup. We're straight into it. We're straight into the action. Myself, Will Hooley, bringing you this live Rugby High School cross-state showdown here on TVX Sports. And I'm joined by Mr. Jeremy Ognall. Jeremy, you were right into it. Not much of an introduction, but here we go.
Well, thanks, Will. Appreciate the brief intro. Yeah, we're going at it right away, and already we're moving the ball wide with the Cardinals. So I think we're going to see a real matchup of styles here. The Cardinals tend to play more of a kick and contestable chase game, focus on their defense, and then quick strikes. Whereas you'll see that Doylestown really likes to have ball in hand, move it to the edge. So I think the clash of styles, we'll get into the players in a couple of minutes, Will, but the clash of styles is going to be really interesting.
It is indeed. It's going to be a cross-state clash. First time these two have played. Doylestown from Pennsylvania coming against Charlotte Cardinals from North Carolina. The Cardinals put into the scrum and away they go. Some fantastic athletes in this, just like that number 12. Keep an eye out on Cole Eversole. Getting into the 22 now is the Cardinals. Andrew Kuhn at the base of this rug, just communicating to his forwards, getting into this game. They are wanting to start fast as they keep it up front. Pick and go there from Will Dominguez. Of course, many of these players from Charlotte Catholic High School. Now as they move out wide, is it intercepted? It's done very well. Number 13 there in Mileto. Nick Mileto with that. We thought maybe Jeremy might have been knocked on, but he's done very well to intercept it.
Yeah, fantastic interception. It could have been a knock-on, could have even been a yellow card for a knock-on, but, he gathered it well, and now they can clear the lines. So a lot of action in the first minute and a half, Will.
Certainly, for you and I, we have no time to rest, as does Max Coulson, who gets straight through the middle with a wonderful counter-attack. Keep an eye on the 15, the Huskies, playing 10 and also 15 for them. Of course, in the high school action, as I was alluding to earlier, Charlotte Catholic, the North Carolina state champions. But now we're into this high school club rugby season. Big carries coming there. Ben Hart wearing 4. Interesting how they operate. They got Luke Zemke at 10, ball in hand now, but you got Max Coulson at 15. He also tries to operate in that first receiver role for the Cardinals. Coulson passes to no one, but picked up well by O'Connor, Aidan O'Connor. Cardinals just building now the phases. There he is, Lucas Lipensky. Only new to rugby, or relatively recent to rugby, the big carrying second row as the Cardinals continue to hold on to the ball. Good footwork at the contact, but repelled well by Doylestown. Into this near side, into Frederick, who gets a great ball away to his front row partner. That's Miles Capel. Into this near 15-meter channel. Pick and go. At the fringe. Another pick and go. This time from O'Connor. Close to the line. Dives, and it's over. And we have got our first score of the game. It's Andrew Kuhn. And Jeremy, that was patience. That was phases. And in the end, lethal.
Yeah, lethal indeed. Some great carries. Both forwards and backs, you can see they're equally adept. Whether you've got a double digit on your back or a single, they're all very adept at carrying. They carry hard. Doylestown defense was good, but they were just playing too much defense there, and it finally told. And those little pick and jams around the side made a huge difference there on the carries, starting really with that was the scrum half, I believe, Andrew Kuhn, who was really the playmaker there, who got him going. And ultimately, he's the one who steps back inside and finishes it. So great start for Charlotte.
Great start for the Cardinals as Coulson lines up. This kick, the fullback, is a lovely, educated right foot. And that is on cue, just sliding wide, but still. Cardinals draw first blood, and I know we had to join this stream relatively quickly, so it is definitely just a quick moment to say that this presentation of the High School Rugby is brought to you by Play Tomorrow. Big purchase coming up. Play Tomorrow makes it easy by letting you pay over time while favorite retailers get paid up front. Visit paytomorrow.com. We've got AirTex interiors also involved. Rugby Riot also proudly bringing you this coverage of high school rugby. And then none other than USA Youth and High School Rugby, also part of the action. Great to have all those with us partnering today in this first ever, Jeremy, matchup between Charlotte Cardinals against Doylestown as Luke Zemke kicks the ball away. And whilst we see this counter-attack, what are you looking forward to most today? You see different styles, but is there a couple of players maybe you're looking out on as we just see Doylestown run to that far edge?
Yeah, there's definitely some matchups we'll want to pay attention to. Looks like they were going for a quick tap. They've slowed it down. So while they're playing through their phases, I think we need to watch the matchup of the 10s. You know, Zemke, the captain from Charlotte, we've already seen him with ball in hand. He clearly is a good operator. And then opposite him, we've got Luis Cipolo from Doylestown, who's a very highly thought of rugby player. So I think that matchup, and then I think in the centers too, the 13 from Charlotte, you know, Thomas McKillop. I'd love to see how he goes against the 12. They're not matched up directly, but Liam Hoy from Doylestown. So those are two for right now. We can talk about a couple more in the forwards a bit later on.
As now we finally see Doylestown actually with that ball in hand and carrying in the forwards, as you say, Jeremy. Big number 3, that's Liam Lefen, who gets over, and the penalty is awarded to the Doylestown team. So yeah, you mentioned there about the Battle of the Tens. Love that as a former number 10 myself. As Doylestown take another tap and go. They want to inject some speed and pace into this game. Now, moving it in still to the front row. That's Big Goose, Gavin Saylor, known as Goose. And that was, I think, a kick to nothing, Jeremy. I was even questioning what to even call that. They had the penalty advantage, though.
Well, you'd call it a kick pass, just not an effective one, but they already had the penalty. I think it was a clever kick because he knew they had the advantage. It didn't pay off, but now we come back for the penalty right in front of the post. So some good sustained pressure there by Doylestown. Really nice response from giving up 5 points so quickly. Looks like they're going for 3 themselves just to get some points on the scoreboard.
Traveling Doylestown coming here to North Carolina as this one's lined up by Jackson Riley, co-captain today. As he puts this straight through the middle, so 3 points on the board for Doylestown, the 2025 Pennsylvania State champions. They've had a couple of wins so far, Doylestown, Fort Hunt, Xavier as well. As you mentioned, what we can expect a very physical style of play, and then getting it into those playmakers, getting into the hands of Louis Cipolo at number 10 for Doylestown. They're on the board. Jackson Riley gets 3 points for Doylestown, the visitors today, as the kickoff is received. That's Aaron Kelly, who just weaves his way, sidesteps his way out of trouble and gets towards the 15-meter line. Doylestown certainly showing a little bit more attacking ability, but turned over by the Cardinals. Now just picking and going. That same tactic that gained the first try for Charlotte Cardinals in the opening sort of 5 minutes. Colson puts up a cross kick, and this looks very good if it stays in play. Not to be. And whilst the side assistant referee puts his flag up, that went out on the full, Jeremy. But interesting so far already. We're seeing high tempo, we're seeing kicks, maybe as cross kicks, and the attacking flair of both these sides have been shown.
Yeah, they're pulling out all the tricks so far. Definitely a lot of Route 1 rugby, just testing the defense, see how they are able to stand up to it. And so far, both defenses have stood up fairly well. I'm sure that both Coach Zemke from Charlotte and Coach Riley from Doylestown will be, taking copious notes of what they're seeing and some of the tendencies that they'll try and take advantage of from the other team.
As now Doylestown build a couple of phases clear with the penalty advantage that they've got. So do they just strike with something a little bit outside the box, moving to the edge, still ball in hand, but still with that advantage. Wondering whether the referee will come back. Lovely step there from Nick Mileto. Because though advantage might be over here, and just when I say that, it actually isn't. Jeremy, it's just really exciting to see this kind of high school club rugby. I know in a very short introduction, you're very well known in the college rugby American landscape. Of course, part as Director of Rugby of Claremont University in California, but it feels like the high school game, as all that kick is not mainly touched, it feels like it's just getting better and better each year.
Oh, it's growing hand over fist. And what I love here is, you mentioned it already, we've got two, out-of-state rivals. We've got the team coming down from Pennsylvania to play the team in North Carolina, just to test each other, probably thinking maybe we see each other later in the season as we get towards nationals. And you've got to love it. And again, I just mentioned the coaches, but credit to, and let me stop there for a second.
Just on cue. Saying how much you love it. Well, how much do we love that? It's the Charlotte Cardinals. Zane Schumacher opening up on the edge. It was lovely hands. Questionable whether that pass might have been forward. This one was not, though. Great little 2-on-1 by Keenan Tita. Getting it to his winger, Zane Schumacher. And whilst Jeremy Ognall was busy talking up how good high school rugby is, well, we just saw it there on display, Jeremy, right in front of our eyes.
Fantastic. I mean, look at that carry by Tita, but not only the strength of his carry, but his awareness of what was on around him, looking for his support outside. We hadn't talked about Schumacher yet, but we were told in advance that he's definitely a threat on the edge, and Doylestown would have a hard time containing him, and that proved to be. So, the six with the little nice drop pass to the winger to finish it, and 2 scores already on the board, 12 minutes in. So great start.
Doylestown with an early deficit. As we take a quick look there at their starting 15, we've already mentioned how we are looking forward to seeing the likes of Louis Sapolo, Liam Hoy as well, number 12. Gavin Goose Saylor. Looking forward to seeing more action of these guys as the kick, unfortunately, though, they're not helping themselves, Jeremy. That doesn't go 10, and so a tough one for this team from Pennsylvania on the road here in North Carolina. But you were mentioning how the fact that this game, cross-country battle, it will be a good indication of national implications later on, kind of sizing each other out today.
Yeah, absolutely. And, Charlotte, coming from a really strong position as we look at their roster, again, stacked pretty much 1 through 15 and even into their bench. We've already called a few of their names, but, they're used to being, at the top. They were the national champions in 24. They were the runners-up last year. And, obviously have aspirations to get back. Doylestown, not quite as renowned, but a building program who obviously fancy their chances too. The one thing I'd say with Doylestown right now, they have to clean up their kicking game because it's hurting them badly.
It is, as Cardinals put the little kick through themselves. Very nicely done, though, by Cipolo, the number 10 of Doylestown, getting out of trouble. As now Doylestown will try to reset inside their own 22. The Dragons. Doylestown. As now that kicking game, as you mentioned, Jeremy, is going to have to be improved, as that is a lot better from the scrum half, Jackson Riley. He has got that penalty goal a little bit earlier. The only 3 points so far from Doylestown in this game. And that kick goes out, and we have a line out for maybe Doylestown, Jeremy, to get themselves in the game with a line out inside the Cardinals half.
Yeah, absolutely. Just as I mentioned, their kicking game was proving a downfall for them. Then they have a really nice clearance kick, and they get about a 40-meter gain out of the kick tennis. So they'll be happy with that. They've just got to control their boot a little bit more, see if they can strike here. With that throw, though, it's not going to happen.
No, it doesn't, and it comes away now for the Cardinals. Big line coming in from number 6, Keenan Tita. He set up the first. He scores his own. He came from a mile away. What a try.
Yeah, he came through like a
line.
steam train, didn't he, Will? He was on fire there, ball in hand. Nobody was stopping him. That's his second carry in the last, 3 minutes. One for a nice offload for a score. But look at this carry here. Just pace as he comes through. Get out of my way, and nobody's going to stop him. Bam! Look at that. Little handoff, runs through the jersey tackle, and incredible play. So far, Tita's putting his hand up for man of the match considerations only 20 minutes into the game.
Certainly is. It's an excellent try from the young man playing at blindside flanker. It was the turnover ball from that line out, and he just came flying onto it. Can Max Coulson get the extra 2? Kick is up, and it is good. So that will take it to Charlotte Cardinals 17, Doylestown 3. And as for Doylestown, other than maybe a few early passage of play where they did then lead to the penalty, you just think for them they want to try and get ball in hand, obviously in the right areas, and try and get themselves into this game.
Yeah, absolutely. They're clearly playing on the back foot a bit right now. So there's a nice deep kick there. Hopefully they're looking to gain some territory here. But, if you just watch how Charlotte approaches this game, and they're skilled athletes, you can tell that they really know what they're doing, and that Doylestown have a little bit of pressure on them right now to respond.
Cardinals coached by Jason Zemke, the head coach also of Charlotte Catholic, and the father to Luke Zemke, the number 10, playing for the Cardinals today. Excellent work that he's done with his young players in North Carolina. And a big shout out as well to the head coach of Kevin Riley for the Doylestown Dragons. They are still just trying to find their feet here at Queen's University Sports Park here for this cross-country matchup, brought to you by TVX Sports and Rugby Riot. Excellent work that Rugby Riot do in bringing all that news on the high school rugby that's happening around the US. Is now Doylestown just playing a few one-off runners, but they are making some go forward. That's Brandon Zubik. The back row partnership there, Gavin Graham wearing 8. Asking a lot of the back row so far just to try and gain some meters, Doylestown. Inside still the Cardinals half. Played away by Riley, Jackson Riley. Just is a little bit slowed down that breakdown, as now they finally come out to a danger man in Liam Hoy, wearing 12 for the Dragons. But the Cardinals seem to be happy defending, and in doing that, they do so well. They get the man into touch. Just wonder, Jeremy, like for Doylestown, speed of ball not quite there, and physically they pride themselves on being physical, but Cardinals showing maybe a little bit more.
Yeah, showing more of the speed of ball. I think it's speed of ball, at the ruck. I think it's also the speed of the pass. They're a little bit one-dimensional right now, I think, Doylestown. They're going to want to, they talked earlier about wanting to try and test the edges, see how Charlotte could defend on the edges. And unfortunately for them, they haven't had the opportunity to get to the edge so far. So they just need to work on a little more adventurous play, I would say. Get away from this single dimension, single carries, and try and get a little more flair into the game. This
game goes on. Hopefully for Doylestown fans and parents, those watching in on this live stream, TVX Sports Video, myself, Will Hooley, joined by college rugby legend and Jeremy Ognall here on TVX Sports Video. Thank you for joining us. We are just under 20 minutes into this cross-state high school club matchup. Charlotte Cardinals in white, one of the very best in North Carolina, against Doylestown Dragons in those green and black hoops. One of the very best from Pennsylvania. Great to have these cross-state matchups, Jeremy. I don't know about you, but it really gets a good indication of not just the battle in your own backyard, but also nationally.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the size of this country, you have to travel to test yourself. So again, I give Doylestown a lot of credit to go all the way down to North Carolina to test themselves. We love seeing this. This is fantastic. I mean, the high school game in this country is just growing so fast. And as you said, the coverage. And watch, let me stop there. Watch this breakaway.
Great breakaway from Zubik. Came out of nowhere there. Hands look like they were in the ruck. I wonder if there's a penalty advantage coming. It is. As referee does not allow the quick tap. Jeremy, I almost feel sorry for you just when you were explaining very clearly. Suddenly, Brandon Zubik, the number 7, just went straight through the middle. Doylestown, tap and go. The penalty 5 meters out from the Cardinals line. Playing a little bit of zigzag rugby. Jackson Riley, the scrum half, goes left, goes right. This time he goes left to Liam LaFen. It's a big challenge coming in from the Cardinals, though. Gonna have to stand firm. Carry from the towering second row. Costello. And now coming around the corner again. Is it over the line? It is. Fantastic try there. And finally, Doylestown are on the board. It's number 4, Timmy Vermeister. Gets over for Doylestown's first try.
Yeah, great pressure there, Will, from Doylestown. You know, 2 carries back-to-back from the locks. You know, first it was Costello, and then Vermeister finished it. You know, the tap penalty that they had in front of the post, they decided not to go for points. You know, they're already down by, at that stage, they were down by 14. So wanted to try and get the 5-pointer, and they did it with some strong carries. And eventually, Charlotte Cardinals' defense cracked. So really good response by Doylestown, you know, 22 minutes into this match. What a game.
What a game indeed. Lining up for this conversion, Jackson Riley adding 2. Just drag to the left. So it will remain at 17 points to 8. It really came from Brandon Zubik, the number 7. Watch here, just coming, Jeremy, out of nowhere. But that footwork, though, was what got him through the gap.
Oh, beautiful footwork. He was a little isolated, but did well to keep his feet for as long as he could. A little bit of a scrap on the floor, a penalty, and then it finishes with Vermeister going over the line. So, again, as I said, great response. I was just starting to talk about the matchup and, you know, the teams traveling, and then Doylestown showed that they still have their legs under them despite the trip from Pennsylvania. So, exciting beginning.
For them, it feels like maybe that's the settler they really needed now. They have their first try on the board. It was Charlotte Cardinals who were firmly in control for the majority of this first half as Doylestown decide not to kick. They're going to try and run it out of their own half. Louis Sapolo, the number 10, captain of the ship. That's the fly half. Working things around the field. Coming hard with some big one-man carries. Wonder if they might just get slightly isolated, but they still maintain the ball. Out to Liam Hoy. Comes back towards traffic, and actually in the end comes back into his own player, Jeremy. Obstruction and a penalty.
Yeah, a little unfortunate there. They had a few nice phases, you know, good carry. Liam Hoy, again, we talked about him earlier, showing what he's capable of, but a little bit of obstruction there. And it looks as though they're going for a decent range pop here. So 15, Max Coulson was pretty quick to point to the post and trying to relieve some pressure.
Let's go, Max!
Just having another look at it from Hoy. Yeah, he just runs into his own player there as he came back towards support, trying to find a little bit of space. But in rugby, if the man is in front of the ball and you're preventing the defensive team from making a tackle, then understandably the referee gives the penalty. So Max Coulson, the fullback for the Cardinals, has a chance for 3 extra points. It's up, it's straight down the middle, and a nice little cushion inside this first half. It's the Charlotte Cardinals 20, Doylestown Dragons 8. Jeremy, coming back to you, I know we've had a couple of occasions where you've had to break from your flow of thoughts of how impressed you are of high school rugby. And of course, these gentlemen will be eyeing up their collegiate careers as well. You know about the pathway. It's only but getting stronger. We were touching on it earlier.
Yeah, it's getting stronger. I mean, this is where it's at for us, sort of what I'll call, for the US grassroots rugby. These are the players who have aspirations down the road to follow in your footsteps. Will, I'm sure several of these guys aspire to be, collegiate All-Americans, then move on to the US Eagles, hopefully. I'd say someone like, Luke Zemke, obviously, really is a guy who stands out like that. Sapolo, he's actually probably channeling his inner Will Hooley, when you used to wear the 10 of Northampton. Very similar looking.
Similar jersey, Northampton Saints to this Doylestown Dragons. I hope for the sake of Louis Sapolo, he'll be a far better player than me, I'm sure. One day, as he grows older, Jackson Riley was sniping through the middle. But clearly a knock-on, but coming back for the advantage. And you wonder now for Doylestown, Jeremy, what they do here. It's a little bit of a gap, 12-point deficit. Wonder whether they take 3 or doesn't look like it. Going for the
Yeah, I don't think they're in a position to take 3, Will. I just don't think the foot's strong enough. So this is a much better move. Put it to touch, try and get inside the 22, which they do. They're about 15, 18 meters from Charlotte's line.
Take another look there at Jackson Riley going through the breakdown. Looks like that was, well, the turnover, but it comes back for the penalty advantage. It's a nice clear day here in North Carolina. Joining us for this high school matchup brought to you by USA Youth and High School Rugby. Great work that they do in trying to govern all this stuff, this high school rugby action across the United States. As we take a little break in play.
Yeah, Will, while we take a break, I'd love you to comment on this. It seems to me that we have several, continual infractions coming against Charlotte. I don't know if the refs got to the conversation point yet with the captain to say you need to clean it up, but the penalty count, I don't have it right in front of me, is severely in Doylestown favor, and they're taking advantage of it with some territory gain. But Charlotte's definitely got to clean up the discipline.
Discipline so key in a rugby game. Doesn't matter what match you're watching, whether you even caught some of the Six Nations this morning from Europe, or whether you're watching this one today here in the high school. Can't be giving away penalties and can't be giving away silly mistakes like that. Accidental offside in the maul. Jeremy, maybe a bit of context from yourself on that.
Yeah, it was a clean take, but the lifters got in front of the catcher, and you can't do that. If you watch the replay here, it's a really nice take, but the lifters get around in front of him, and they're not allowed to be a blocking shield to stop the defense getting to the ball carrier. So, great call by the ref. He saw it quickly and blew it up, and now we have a scrum position here for Charlotte, obviously looking for a little bit of a platform to probably kick the lines clear.
Big push coming in, though, from Doylestown. Excellent scrum, and maybe that's an area we haven't seen so far in the first half, but big Gavin Goose, Sailor, Marco Burns, and Liam Leifenu, the front row of Doylestown, Jeremy. That's ominous so far, that scrum there.
Ominous indeed. Their body position was fantastic. They got underneath, the front row of Charlotte, and the result was a great turnover for them. And now they had a chance to strike. And one other quick thing while they're playing: look at the crowd we're seeing tonight here in North Carolina. Will, it's super fun to see how many people, parents, supporters are out there watching these kids ply their trade.
Great stuff indeed. Such a great evening here. There was a little bit of a lightning delay that just made kickoff time go back by a few minutes. But certainly we have had a fast lightning start to this game as the Cardinals are defending inside their own 22. They lead 20 points to 8. Doylestown. This is Liam Hoy, the 12. Bustling his way inside the 22. Potential for holding on, not given by the referee, is now the front row go to work. Impressive front row. And also second row, the work of Costello. He's carried a lot of ball so far. It was Fairmeister who had the first try and the only try for Doylestown. Coming hard, coming in one-off runners though. Not making too much momentum to that far side. That's where the momentum half gap gets for Doylestown. Big carry from Goose. Gavin Saylor. As the ball spills out, and we're going to come to a penalty and a tap and go. Riley trying to use his footwork to beat defenders, does really well. Meter or so from the line. No, he reaches for it and it's given. Wonderful work from the scrum half of Doylestown. Jackson Riley catches the Cardinals off guard, and the second try for the Dragons.
Yeah, really clever rugby here. He sees the opportunity, the arms up, quick tap. You know, Charlotte are retreating. A few players have it back to him. He goes, but look at this leg drive from a pretty small number 9, taking them on and dots it down by the post. You know, great enterprise there. And that was really a follow-on from several strong denting carries by the forwards from Doylestown. And again, as you called it, you know, Jackson Riley, the co-captain, took advantage of that. And now we really have a game on our hands, Will, don't we?
We do indeed. Was warned before this game, this is going to be close. As much as Charlotte Cardinals, runners-up in that Nationals competition last year, the San Diego Mustangs went on and won it. The Cardinals want to go one better this year. They are strong. I watched them in a game not that long ago, a couple of weeks ago against San Mateo in California, and they were lethal in their ability. But Doylestown, though, with their pedigree from Pennsylvania, players are starting to really get comfortable on the ball. Big carries coming through from the front 5. And now we are only 20 points to 15. Doylestown trailing by 5. Great take from the restart, though, by the Cardinals. So they will have the ball inside the half of Doylestown, but just not gone there. And you can see it's amazing what happens in rugby, Jeremy. That little bit of belief and changing of momentum, and you feel for Doylestown, this is a slight change of momentum.
Well, yeah, more than a slight change. I was just going to say momentum. It's a crazy thing in rugby, in a lot of sports, but especially in rugby, it seems to really play in your favor. And all the momentum is with Doylestown right now. It looks as though Charlotte's a little bit on the back foot. They're playing a little bit more nervous than they were 10, 15 minutes ago. And Doylestown are taking advantage of that. So, you know, as we trend towards halftime, Doylestown have to feel very, very good about the position they're in. And look at this scrum. Strong drive, good hold, but now the ball's out.
It is out to the midfield. A big hit going in there from the 12 of Eversole. Kick is charged down, though, by the Cardinals. Great work by the man in the far corner over there. Looked like O'Connor, the number 8, who was either there for the charge down, certainly got the scraps off it. Dominguez comes in hard, but knocks it on. So transition again. This time it's Doylestown who have the ball back. It's happening thick and fast in this game as the ball gets kicked all the way downfield. Luke Zemke poises himself, sticks it high up into the Charlotte sky, and that is just about hold on. Was it his? Was it yours? Well, it turned out to still be in Doylestown's favour. And penalty, though, given by the referee, Jeremy. And, well, the charge down, the turnover, the kick battle, it's all happened.
Yeah, a lot happening there. Not a lot of territory gain either way, but ultimately it came to a stop with another obstruction call. We've had one, a couple of them against Charlotte already. Now they've got one in their favor. And with their foot, it looks like they're going for the 3-pointer, probably just to settle the team down a little bit. They've been on the back foot for the last 7 or 8 minutes. This takes some time. They get to breathe a little bit. The captain will have a chance to talk to the team for a second and try and put 3 points on the board just to give them a little bit of a gap. So I think it's a very smart tactical move here by Charlotte to slow it down, you know, breathe a little bit and try and put 3 points on the board. But what a game again.
Max Coulson just turns away after striking that. That's 3 extra points. And we've got a great game, Jeremy, in this one. As the Cardinals lead 23 points to 15. We're closing in on the last minute inside this first half of this cross-country high school matchup. These teams have never played each other before, so credit to both coaches for both programs for setting this up. wanting to play the best in the country before you get towards those national playoffs. It's an excellent way of just seeing where you're at, and this is exactly what's happening today. Is one of the best, or the best, ultimately North Carolina and Charlotte Cardinals going up against one of, if not the best, Doylestown Dragons in Pennsylvania. As Dragons now have the ball back. Gavin Saylor. Goose, love that, but that's his name. Put into the team sheet for us. Hoy manages to scoop that away and keep hold of it for the Dragons. Riley moves it to this near side. Busy work, this pack of forwards for Doylestown. The turnover is good, and it's from that number 8, O'Connor. And you just wonder, Jeremy, that Doylestown, they're working hard and carrying hard, but they are individuals. It's the support that is maybe lacking to make sure they clear the ruck.
Yeah, you mentioned it a couple of minutes ago. A few too many one-off carries, I'd say, by Doylestown. You know, Charlotte got their hands on the ball, got the turnover there. So they need to have a little bit more support when they're running these lines, not necessarily just straight north-south, maybe find a little bit of footwork to look for some space, because obviously Charlotte are very organized defensively. So just pounding straight up the gut isn't going to win them the match. A little bit more movement, I suggest, and a little better support.
Totally agree, and well said. As now Cardinals, they got the turnover, the penalty, gain a bit of territory, and the line out now gets them going inside the half of Doylestown. That's lovely footwork from Max Coulson, and doesn't quite find Eversole on the offload as the referee blows for half-time. So we are 35 minutes done. First half of this clash, marquee matchup between Doylestown against Charlotte Cardinals. The home side, the Cardinals leading 23 points to 15 over the Dragons. Jeremy, we've had an excellent competitive first half. More to come, but you must have been impressed so far.
Very impressed, very well poised, 23-15. I think both teams would take that. Doylestown, again, probably not the favorites, just with the history that Charlotte have and Doylestown having to travel. But they'll feel very good about themselves being 8 points down. And I think so far the biggest difference I'm seeing in the game, I mentioned it earlier, is the kicking game, both from hand and from the tee. You know, Charlotte obviously, you know, with their fullback Max Coulson, he's got a big boot, and you know he's damaged them with his foot. And Doylestown struggled to get a little traction in the kicking game. So hopefully they'll clean up for the second half. But I'm really excited for the next 40 minutes. We get a chance to breathe for a second too, Will.
We do indeed. We will take a short break before we come back for the second half of rugby here from Queen's University, Dixon Field, for this cross-state high school club rugby action on TVX Sports Video. To join us in just a moment, the Cardinals lead 23 points to 15. Second half coming up in just a few moments' time.
USA Youth and High School Rugby is building the future of the game in America, one youth player at a time. Our mission is simple: inspire a rugby revolution through a sport that's fun-filled, safe, and rooted in respect and community. Your support helps fund coaching, growth initiatives, and local programs that expand access for kids nationwide. Learn more and help grow grassroots rugby today.
Welcome back here to Queen's University Sports Complex in Charlotte, North Carolina, as it's the Charlotte Cardinals hosting Doylestown Dragons in this high school club rugby action. And this presentation is brought to you by Pay Tomorrow. Big purchase coming up. Well, Pay Tomorrow makes it easy by letting you pay over time, where your favorite retailers get paid up front, fast approval, simple payments, and no hassle at checkout. Something I love. Buy now and pay tomorrow. Visit us at www.paytomorrow.com to learn more. AirTex Interiors. You're also part of this, and we love it. Since 1949, the most trusted name in aircraft interiors. Third-generation family-owned and operated business in Folsington, Pennsylvania. Rugby Riot. Yes, look no further to get better ways of getting high school rugby action. The QR code will come up. Get in it. Get onto it. Or head to rankings.rugbyriot.com for Rugby Riot Hub rankings, scores, team pages, coverage from across the country. Rugby Riot, giving high school rugby the hype it deserves. And then, of course, USA Youth and High School Rugby. USA Youth and High School Rugby is building the future of the sport across America, igniting passion in new players, elevating schools and community programs, creating real pathways from first touch to lifelong opportunity on fields. Just like this one, athletes are discovering a game where everyone belongs. And then finally, final, get on your TVX Sports video. They've been bringing coverage of sports in Southern California and around the country for nearly 20 years, and they are committed to bring you the best live, local, and emerging sports coverage like this one this evening here in Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm joined here in the booth, myself, Will Hooley, alongside Jeremy Ognall. And Jeremy, we've had a fantastic first half. 23 points to 15, the Cardinals lead. And as we are about to get underway, what are you most looking forward to in the second half?
Well, I'm looking forward to another 40 minutes like we saw in the first half. It was great rugby by both sides. A lot of momentum shifts, some really good play, several mistakes. So it was a bit of a mixed bag. They'll want to clean up on both sides of the ball a little bit. I'm looking forward to seeing, Charlotte try and put a few more phases together. They've really, been able to create a couple of strikes, through a couple of powerful carries. They haven't put a lot of phases in play, whereas, I'd say Doylestown have run a lot more phases, probably a little less adventurous, a little more single runners. So I'm looking for them to move the ball a little wider. And as I said, a little more footwork. But I think we're going to have a very similar half in the second half to what we saw in the first half. And that's good for everyone that's watching, Will.
It is. It's an absolute battle that we're seeing up front. It looks as though that the Cardinals have made a couple of replacements as well at the half, as the ball is held up by the Cardinals. Is it going to get to ground? If it doesn't, it will be a scrum to Charlotte. Still battling, manages to get to ground then. That Doylestown player is, try and move the ball. They're not going to move it far though. Well, you've got Thomas McKillop absolutely whacking boys, as he does this then. That was a monster hit from the 13 of the Cardinals. Doylestown trying to work this from nearly their own 22-meter line, hit back by this solid Cardinals defense. Taken in by Marco Burns, the co-captain, alongside Jackson Riley today for the Dragons. Carried well by number 7, Zubik. Turnover though by the Cardinals. It's held on to the breakdown. And wow, what a defensive set there, Charlotte. Jeremy, they have some monster hits going in there.
Wow. I want to go back if we have a chance for break and play. I'd love to see that tackle again. That wallop that McKillop put on was the best tackle we've seen. We've seen some big hits, but that was incredible. That just really set a good defensive tone. I think we might see it here. A little step back inside, then a step back outside, trying to look for popping up the ball here. Oh, this is actually the penalty. We didn't get back to the McKillop hit, but we'll see that one again, I'm sure, Will, because that was an absolute art form of a tackle.
We have to, because whoever is clipping this up, this gets on the highlight reel. This was the hit of the weekend from Thomas McKillop. Absolutely minced him. Big tackle from McKillop. Charlotte Catholic player as well, the centre. Very impressed by him when I've watched this season. Line out not straight though, so a little bit of a gift given away by the Cardinals, Jeremy, there, as Doylestown have a chance to clear their lines.
Yeah, neither line out has operated especially effectively. And I talked about the kicking earlier, Will. I'm going to turn it back to you, but that kick was an absolute disaster and caused a lot of problems here. And now they've just turned it back over again.
It's chaos, but the best kind of chaos. Yeah, the kick was definitely not good, but that was Liam Hoy, the inside centre for the Dragons, doing excellent work to rip it away. Jackson Riley. This is a pass, but then it's knocked on, and away we come now for the Cardinals. TJ Kiefer coming back, I think, for that original knock on, and Jackson Riley, has had an excellent game as a scrum half, I've got to say. Unfortunately, that kick, not his best, putting the pressure on. And it was the Cardinals who now have the ball back. This is the big hit from McKillop. Get back there, sir. What a hit. Jeremy, I can only imagine that was like you in your day, whenever that day was.
Oh, absolutely.
Some years ago.
Except I was the guy going backwards there, Will. But yeah, as you said, definitely the hit of the match. I don't think anyone's going to be able to beat that one. And, you know, it's a smaller guy on a big lock, and his form in the tackle was incredible. And again, it set the tone defensively. Now they're still putting the pressure on inside Doylestown 22, looking for another score, trying to get a little bit of a gap here.
They are indeed, as a carries come in, the Cardinals working inside Doylestown's 22. Massive carry coming up the middle. As now they come around the corner, Colston, who passes it out to the man who made the big hit, gets a big try for the Cardinals. It's Thomas McKillop finishing off a really strong passage of play for Charlotte Cardinals.
Great passage of play by Charlotte. Again, the damage was done actually the play before by Lipinski. It was a big, strong carry. He's a big boy, gets low, and then just outside to McKillop, you know, the walloping man who finished it beautifully. And 28 with 2 points to come, and Charlotte will feel really good about the start of his second half.
They like to say that defense wins you games, wins you championship. And maybe that is something that they want to pride themselves on this year, the Charlotte Cardinals. Just going one short last year against San Diego Mustangs in that championship, the national championship final. This year might be their year, as Max Colson, who gave that last puck, the assist. Well, he gets another 2 points. Wonderful kick by the fullback, stretching the lead now to the Cardinals 30, Doylestown Dragons 10. Take a look at this try again, Jeremy. Impressive play, massively impressive carry by Lipinski.
Great carry, very fast ruck ball. Nice move from the fullback. You know, it's great. Colson drew a man, just pops it out to the walloper, and McKillop goes in. And what I was going to say as well, the educated boot from Max Colson is extremely impressive, isn't it?
Really is. I think we're going to have to find out a better name, either the walloper, Thomas McKillop, the hitman, maybe we'll start calling him now. He really is, from that monster hit, then went and scored the try. It was just work for the outside centre for Charlotte Cardinals as they have the ball throwing into this line out. Doylestown certainly not out of it, but they do trail by 15 points in this second half of this crop 8. High School Club matchup is too good as ever so. He's got the last one to beat. He looked to do that. As now Doylestown track back. And the offload doesn't go to hand, so it's turned over. Luis Cipolo gets the ball, and if there is a passage of play that young Cole Eversole would have maybe wanted back, that choice of using the offload, Jeremy, probably wasn't the right one, but what a passage of play to get right through the middle.
Yeah, probably the wrong decision at the end, but and we see another really poor kick. Actually, they got a lucky bounce here, so it's going to come back. We'll talk about that in a second, but what a fantastic carry by Eversole. Yeah, tried a little bit too much at the end, but again, he just showed how dangerous he is. You know, we talked earlier on about, you know, McKillop, you know, outside him, but Eversole is just doing some damage. I mean, he is a big boy, and he has some gas.
Right at the gain line as well. That's the thing that impressed me by the Cardinals and that movement. So hard as a defender when you've got lots of bodies running at you fast, and then that slight change of direction with the pass just sent Eversole through the gap. But they then gave it back with the turnover as Liam Hoy for Doylestown gets over the halfway mark. Riley fizzes it out to an impressive work from Brandon Zubik today, the 7 for the Dragons. Been busy, got over the gain line himself plenty times. Good carry there from Marco Burns, the co-captain. Running really hard is the 10, Sepolo, but it's turned over into the hands of Tuioa Tua. Apologies if I haven't said that completely right, but nonetheless, Cardinals have got away on that far side. Schumacher tries scoring in the first half. Dazzling footwork from the winger, and he still goes, beating about 5 players on his route inside the 22 now for Charlotte Cardinals. Colston, dummy, goes through the gap. Wonderful score, and the fullback finishes off. A brilliant bit of work from the Charlotte Cardinals, and this lead they are just opening up here in the second half.
Yeah, finished beautifully there by Schumacher. We'll see a replay here. I mean, sorry, started by Schumacher. Look at the ball on the edge, but look at this guy. You said he beat 5 defenders. I think he beat about 7 or 8 defenders. Stepping and fending, all the way through. Too many green jerseys. Look how many green jerseys around him and can't stop him. You know, and once again, we have quick ball. It gets out to Colson. Very educated player. A little given, you know, show and go there. Under the post, a little bit of a swan dive, and a beautifully worked try.
Colson then has the chance to make it a full 7 points. This one is probably his easiest conversion today. He kicks it straight through the middle. So the lead is now extended to Charlotte Cardinals 37, 15. And you know about national championships, Jeremy, that they are a hard thing to do. High school, club, professionally. As for Charlotte, obviously coming off the back of being runners-up last year, what's the sort of mentality that they've got to have? It's a great program. These players now have been playing with each other for a long time. Pressure on for the Charlotte Cardinals to go and take it all this year.
Well, I'd say pressure's on, but it's probably just the pressure they're putting on themselves. I don't think it's outside pressure that's going to affect them. It's within the program. You know, it starts at the top with Jason Zemke and goes all the way through their players. And you can see that they're responding. And they probably, from the way they're playing, they probably like a little bit of pressure. As they gain some significant ground there. So I think a lot of it as well, Will, you've played this game at a very high level for a long time. You just get this real sense of culture within these programs. And again, I think it starts at the top, but then it becomes woven throughout the organization. And they've got a good, you know, winning culture. They've got a good sportsmanship culture. And that's why we're seeing such a display today. So again, it just keeps building and building across the high school landscape. And these two teams are emblematic of that.
Totally agree with you. As the penalties given to Doylestown, I think taken in the air as Dragons go to the sideline, and we'll look to start a passenger play inside the Cardinals half. And when I think back to my school rugby days, it was just some of the funnest moments you had. You're playing with your mates. And even in this high school club action, many of these players know each other, either being from the same school, Charlotte Catholic, of course, or around the local area. They will know each other very well and creating some brilliant memories. And I'm sure those who were involved in that championship final last year against the San Diego Mustangs they'll be hurting. They'll be wanting to get back to that final, that championship stage, national championship stage, and go one better. It's great to see such quality on display. You can actually see on the left arm of the jerseys, that's Anthem Rugby Carolina, Anthem, the Major League Rugby professional team. So maybe, Jeremy, these young players are wanting to start out their professional rugby careers.
Well, yeah, I said earlier, aspirations to, if they're going on to college, to try and get to a collegiate All-American, and then to look, at the Eagles and just play on the world's biggest stage. Another fantastic breakout here. We've actually got the reserve coming on there. It's number 18. It looks like it's Jack Maffei with a really strong carry, and they're really starting to dent this Doylestown defense, aren't they, Will?
Really are, as they get themselves into the 22. The big run was from Luke Zemke, the 10, showing everything that he's about as they bring it out to the edge, dummy and go, and another score, this time by the replacement, Wells O'Mara. And from working all the way inside their own half, some terrific running rugby from the Cardinals, and it's another try on the board. Oh, actually, hold on a minute. That is not a try on the board. It looks like it's a goal line dropout. Maybe we'll get a replay, Jeremy. Am I missing something?
Well, if you are, I am too, because I thought it was an easy try. Maybe we missed him, dropping the ball in goal. We'll have to look for a replay on that. But here's another amazing breakout. And there's your hitman, who actually nice cover tackle there and spilled ball. But the pressure is really on Doylestown right now. They're backtracking every time. And Charlotte, I'm sure, are licking their lips. And again, if we have chance, we'll see what happened on that last play, because it looked like an easy 5-pointer. But you and I must have missed something.
Tell you what we're not missing this Charlotte Cardinals counter-attack, just opening up the Doylestown defense at will. But credit to a massive tackle from Louis Sapolo, the number 10, on McKillop there at the end. That is brilliant work. Not giving up. No one's given up in this game on both sides, but the Cardinals really showing their qualities. We have still plenty of time left in the second half, but it is tough times for the Dragons, the visitors. Hacked away upfield, but this is straight into the hands of Zemke, who fires it across to Coulson, the fullback. Been really impressive so far in this game as he gets past one, gets past two, offload to nobody though. And it actually ends up in the hands of Doylestown. Kick through. And the referee is blowing for something. It looks like in the favor of Doylestown. Maybe an early tackle there from the kick through. That's why the penalty is all the way inside the Charlotte Cardinals half. And Jeremy, have we been too quick to sort of finish this game and say it's a Cardinals win, or Doylestown, do they have the chance to still make a surge?
No, you know that I'm always prognosticating. I think we're going to take a quick look at a replay here. Let's see what happened. Really nice ball movement out to the edge there. As you said, 21, that's Wells O'Mara comes in.
Oh, he drops it.
Yeah, he drops it as he's diving. We tell that early on, don't we, Will, in rugby? Just put the ball down. Don't try and be too clever with it. And it came back.
I can't believe we didn't see that.
Yeah, well, there's so much action, Will, going on. So I think we should forgive each other. We shouldn't be too harsh a critic. But what I was saying there is, I just think the game is not over. But I think in the next 10 minutes, Doylestown, first they need to hold them out, and they need to play down in Charlotte's territory. They've been inside their 10-meter, inside their 22 for about the last 15 minutes. And here they go again.
Well, I was going to say, it's not going to get any easier. Max Coulson through the middle. Lovely pass to O'Connor. Can he get to the line? Not quite. One pass will do it, surely. Doesn't need to be passed because Keenan Teeter gets over for another try. And the Charlotte Cardinals just seem to be even more energized. Breakaway from Max Coulson. Found the gap with ease. And in the end, sets up this try we thought might be for O'Connor, but then a little patience, then pick and go from Tita. And I would say, Jeremy, as much as we've tried to say that the Dragons could get back into it, I think that might be game, set, and match.
Yeah, I think you're right there. We just talked about there was an opportunity, and unfortunately, they didn't have an opportunity, and Charlotte took full advantage. And once again, it's that man, Coulson. You've called his name a lot, Will, tonight, but it started with Coulson. And again, great run, but just intelligent pass out. Really good carry by O'Connor. And then if you watched in the back play, you could see that Keenan Tita was just looking for his opportunity. He kept chasing, following the number 8, see where he was going, and was able to pick it up and dot it down very easily. Unfortunately, it looks like Charlotte have got an injury in the process. We'll take a look. I think that is Wells O'Mara who's going off, the guy who was not given a try a couple of minutes ago. I believe it's him, Will.
I think it might actually be Aidan O'Connor, the man who just got past near to the line, the number 8. We can maybe get confirmation on that in just a minute, but it looked like the same boots, the same pink boots as O'Connor. It was just hearing my ear that it was number 8, Aidan O'Connor. Hope that he's okay. And look at that, Max Coulson just is not missing. He had a couple of misses in the first half, but other than that, he has been exceptional with the boot. You've got to be very impressed by this Cardinals team, Jeremy. It's really a full package. They can kick well. They have physicality, both in attack and defense. And then they have excellent playmakers like Max Coulson, like Luke Zemke. It really is a proper full package.
Yeah, it's very comprehensive. I would say the biggest parts of their game so far, they're a great team to watch. I'm having a blast actually watching this. I think they need to clean up their set piece a little bit if they want to go far into nationals. You know, Doylestown has definitely tested them and damaged them a little bit at the scrum. I think their line out has been a little bit inconsistent. But when they have ball in hand, they are absolutely delightful to watch.
And their kicking game is pretty good as well. That was a high-hanging box kick by Marcus Guerrero. Really exciting youngster, Marcus Guerrero. He's a sophomore scrum half. Said here in the notes sent over from Charlotte Cardinals, he brings the electric spark when he enters the field. And for a substitute scrum half, that's exactly what you want to see. I was very impressed with him in that San Mateo game a couple of weeks ago. And also in his kicking game that he just showed there, he passes it away to the back line, and it's a dummy and go this time by Luke Zemke. He runs through the middle, holds on to it. The number 10 is going to go all the way over. And that was a moment of individual brilliance from the number 10, wearing 10 for Charlotte Cardinals. And now the chance to get 50 points on the board in Charlotte's name. Look at that. Out the back, Jeremy. Lovely dummy and go.
Yeah, I mean, you just mentioned the reserve scrum half, Marcus Guerrero. Great distribution from the base of the scrum. But then it was a captain's run, wasn't it? Luke Zemke took it on himself. And what you're seeing these last few minutes, Will, is we have a very, very tired Doylestown defense. And they're not able to move their feet enough, get into right body position to be able to make these tackles. And they're just running through them like a hot knife through butter. And now you're going to see Max Coulson probably with another of his howitzer boots to bring up the 50.
Coulson then, if it's anything to go by how he's kicking in this game, this should be over. It is not given. I did wonder whether the referee blew his whistle just before he kicked the ball. Its conversion is no good, and that looks like it will be Max Coulson's last play of the game from the fullback. An excellent game nonetheless, even though missing that last extra 2 points. So not quite 50 points so far for the Cardinals. It's Charlotte 49, Doylestown 15. As Doylestown will try and get back into this game. Great to see if they can get another try on the board. They've shown some fantastic work and physicality in this match, but the Cardinals really have reigned supreme. High box kick from Guerrero, another beautiful one, and not controlled by the backfield of the Dragons. And the counter-up coming in from the Cardinals. Head coach Jason Zemke will be loving the fact that his team is not resting on their laurels. They are still foot to the throat kind of stuff. The kick is straight down the throat of Aidan McLaughlin. He's barely had many opportunities, the left winger for the Cardinals. That one, he's taken out of play. And for Doylestown, Jeremy, you mentioned it in the first half. They've travelled here. Great to see their commitment to travelling state. Not easy. No doubt it's not exactly they're here for a week and can get settled in. But good on them for making the effort and testing themselves, because ultimately this is only going to help them with their season moving forward.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure Coach Riley is, pleased with aspects of their game. They've run into a little bit of a buzzsaw, especially in this second half. But they'll learn a lot from it. As you said a few minutes ago, they're not coming back in this match. There's just too many strong carries, too much athleticism on the Charlotte side. But Doylestown should have the heads held up very high. As I say, it's a long way to travel. They probably got in fairly recently, and their legs are a little bit fatigued. But we're going to see more of them during the season for sure.
Now the Cardinals still continue to march forward. Everything they touch seems to be going forward. They've rarely been hit backwards by a stern and hearty defense to the Doylestown, but definitely the physical battle overall has been won by Charlotte Cardinals. Guerrero just passes it to his open side in TJ Kiefer. 5 meters out. Another pick and go would do it. They keep it tight through the forwards. They've scored out wide. They've scored through in the middle. Getting it on to the forward pod. Is it over the line? It's Cade Frederick. And the big front rower for the Cardinals gets involved in the action. And that is the 50-point mark made by the home side. And it's almost trying to now be a bit of damage limitation for Doylestown. Cardinals just on fire.
Yeah, just again, fundamental rugby. One thing I'd like to go back to a second. A great simple try, but beautiful finish there. Cade Frederick getting his name on the scoreboard. You mentioned him a minute ago. I really early in the game, I like the look of Andrew Kuhn, the Charlotte Cardinals 9. He should be very proud of his performance. But as you said, Marcus Guerrero has come on, and he's really, he's changed kind of the pace of the game, the tempo of the game. And as much as he's changed the tempo, his box kicking is really impressive. That last box kick, they got about a 50-meter gain as a result of it. And seeing box kicking of that quality at high school level is really, really impressive.
Some great kicking on display across the board, and that's actually another great kick off the tee, but this time from Luke Zemke, his first conversion, and it's over, so extends the lead 56 points to 15. And Jeremy, you're absolutely right, and that's why I say the sort of full package that the Cardinals have delivered today is it's been a very professional performance. They've kicked at the right moments, they played the rugby in the right halves, they haven't just sort of thrown the ball around with no tactical awareness. It's been a very strong performance from Charlotte.
Yeah.
Through the middle, sorry, Eversole. Here we go, just when I was going to get you in. It's Cole Eversole who gets inside the 22 already. As Charlotte back on the attack. Into the midfield. Dominguez does really well to hold on to it, the hooker of the Cardinals. There's that brilliant big run from the number 12, Eversole. As now they move it to the edge. Colson flings it over the top. He's back on the field. I thought he'd gone off it, but he's there. The 15. Footwork coming in by Lepresti. Colson at 10. Just showing at the line, but takes the ball into contact. More carries come through, the big men, and the offload as well. Referee says that was play on. Guerrero Oh, gives it to McLaughlin. And there is the first try for Aidan McLaughlin, given effortlessly by Marcus Guerrero and Jeremy. It's a shame that this game has got kind of so far away from Doylestown, but the Cardinals are just not stopping.
No, strong carries. Dan Capel there coming 19. He had a really strong carry there. A little pick at the base again from Guerrero. And then again, they only had a meter to crash over against some tired bodies. So you just a minute ago, Will, used the term, professional. And you have to say, Charlotte are a very, very professional outfit. The way they carry themselves, 1 through 15, and now the bench guys, they're really professionally organized. They've got individual skills at a lot of different positions. They're very physical. You can tell they're in very, very good shape. And for a high school team, they look to be run like a professional rugby organization, which I love seeing.
Credit to everyone involved in the Cardinal setup in North Carolina. Charlotte Cardinals, keep an eye on these boys as they go through this high school club season. Still being given the messages by the coaches. Jason Zemke. As Doylestown just taking their time as they try and maybe see if they can get some points back on the board before the end of this game. We only got 7 minutes left in this marquee matchup. Kickoff back onto the Cardinals. The last time they attacked from inside their half, it went straight through the middle. They won't on that one because Will Dominguez unfortunately drops it. You can maybe forgive him a little bit of a lapse of concentration when his team is 61 points to 15 in the lead, Jeremy.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, again, at the championship level, you don't want to make those small mistakes, even when you're up by, 46 points on the scoreboard. There were a couple of things I was going to say there, Will. One of the things I was going to ask you for some input on is you just talked, the game's been getting away from Doylestown this whole second half. What do you think that Coach Riley and his team are taking from this and what they need to apply when they get back up to Pennsylvania if they want to move on to the national stage?
Well, as they try and maintain the ball inside the 22 Charlotte Cardinals, I think for them it's their ability of when they do have these big carries, which is one done there, is making sure they have their support lines, making sure they have the ability to just move the ball a little bit away from contact. Charlotte have been physical and matched them a lot of the times. They have been turned over, though, by the Cardinals' defense, and I think a lot of that has sometimes just been just a little bit of a lack of support. There's no lack of effort, I can tell you that much, as carries continue to come in from Doylestown. They want to finish with a positive.
Yeah, absolutely.
And,
there was another strong carry from Liam Hoy there. He's looked really good for Doylestown. He definitely should have his head held high. He just hasn't had enough around him in order to be able to, dent Charlotte enough. So, but he'll have a very sore body, but he'll be very proud of his effort when they head back up north.
Slow ball from this breakdown as we enter the last 5 minutes of this match today. Doylestown, credit to them, it was a real contest in the first half, but the Cardinals have run away with it. And as pressure continues to come from Charlotte on a defensive effort, but penalty comes back. And it will be to Doylestown.
Yeah, what a great sequence that was. One thing I was about to say is there's no give up in Doylestown, and the game's long gone, but they're applying the pressure, multiple penalties. I love the tap and go. They're not conceding 3 points. It's not going to do them any good. And just a real nice dart through now, the ball back in the hands of their co-captain, who's had a really nice game, Jackson Riley. and he'll be looking to put a couple of finishing touches on this. But it's nice to see with, 61 points to 15 at the time, with less than 5 minutes left in the game, but Doylestown still wants to give it a go. And again, that's going to make them feel good, and that builds them well for the rest of the season. So a lot of positives to build on, Will, from Doylestown. Just today, they're getting beaten by a better team. I think a little bit more athletic, a little bit better support lines, better continuity from Charlotte than Doylestown. But Doylestown will learn a lot from this. And as I say, I think whoever their next opponent is probably going to feel a little bit of pain.
Well, came back to the penalty. And in the end, from that penalty, even I wasn't ready for it, but the tap and go was the one that enabled them to get over the line. And a carry and a pick and a dummy from Jackson Riley. Gets the try there. We are in the last remaining 2.5 minutes of this match this evening, and Doylestown Dragons are not giving up. We've had some terrific rugby on display here in this high school club action. Charlotte Cardinals, as you can see from the scoreline, have really shown their class as the referee penalises Charlotte for that one as we come towards the last couple of minutes, and probably the right time for me to come to you, Jeremy. There's been some standout performances. Pretty hard to maybe single one out, but if you could, who is maybe your player of the match tonight?
Yeah, there's a lot of people who've put their hand up. I mentioned him a couple of times. I think Tita absolutely has to be in the conversation. I think Zemke at 10 has run them really well. I think Guerrero coming in off the bench has really impressed, even though he hasn't played the full match. McKillop, that you named the hitman. But if I'm giving a man of the match, well, I have to give it to Max Coulson. He's done everything. Ball in hand, kicking from the tee. So my man of the match, Charlotte Cardinals, fullback Max Coulson.
I think that is a very, very correct decision from you, Jeremy Ognall. As Guerrero, another name you mentioned, has been electric as he's come onto the field in the second half, but Max Coulson really has had a pretty perfect day, the fullback. Excellent to see him continue his development as now the Cardinals continue their momentum forward. It's the last minute of play, but they still want to play for a score as they get it out wide to this near edge. Great tackle, last-ditch tackle coming in. But still, the Cardinals trundle forward. Guerrero finds a hard line for that man, Keenan Tita, who gets another score. And Jeremy, just when you did mention Max Coulson as the player of the match today, Keenan Tita must have heard that and said, hold on, are you sure? What a performance from this young man. It's another try.
I actually think I hadn't finished the award when I made the award. But you're right. I mean, what a performance by him. Great finish. I think one other name that I should have mentioned is let's watch this play develop, and I have one thing to say. Again, great ball movement through the hands. Look at Tita there. Great ball to the outside. And so look at where he comes from. He's the one who makes that pass, and then he's the one who ends up here with ball in hand to finish it. So, 17 minutes into the match, and he's still running, end to end and side to side. So a lot of credit to him. And one other name I do want to recognize that I missed was, I think Cole Eversole has had a massive game from Charlotte. He hasn't been on the scoreboard necessarily, but his damaging runs have really set the tone for the rest of the backs as the final whistle blows.
The final whistle does blow here in Charlotte, North Carolina, at Queen's University. It's the Charlotte Cardinals who have finished on top. 68 points to 22 against the Doylestown Dragons. Some excellent performances by these young men, and from both sides as well. Big shout out to Doylestown coming from Pennsylvania for this cross-state marquee matchup, as both these teams will look to continue their work in the high school club rugby season. Those national championships will be here before you know it. But Charlotte Cardinals, convincing winners, 68 points to 22. A last word from you, Jeremy Ognall, on this great evening of high school club rugby.
Yeah, thanks for that, Will. Always a pleasure sitting alongside you. I wanted to say, so much credit. You listed the sponsors. Thanks to them for their contributions to this game, to USA Youth High School Rugby, to TVX Video. What a production they put together. It's every week, it's professional, in and out, every single week. It's spectacular. And to Rugby Riot to bring this game. We need more high school rugby like this. We need more coverage from Rugby Riot and TVX Video, because this is the world's greatest game, and these high school kids are showing why.
Absolutely with you, my friend. A great performance all around. It was the Charlotte Cardinals who have won it, but high school rugby being the real winner today. As we take a look at some of these highlights, a game brought to you by fantastic TVX Sports videos you mentioned there, Jeremy, and also big shout out to the presentation of high school rugby brought to you by Pay Tomorrow, Airtex Interiors, Rugby Riot, Youth and High School USA Rugby. We've seen it all. What a great evening of rugby action. The Charlotte Cardinals reign supreme. They are going to be ones to watch, as is that man, Max Coulson. A player of the match performance by him, as the toss-up was between him and number 6, Keenan Teeter. So final score there, it's the Cardinals 68, Doylestown Dragons 22. I've been Will Hooley. Thank you so much to my partner in crime, Jeremy Ognall. You've been watching on TVX Sports Video. Until next time, keep supporting high school rugby. More high school rugby to come. Until then, from us, goodbye.